Hey, welcome back to the show. Little biblical education to impart to you today. You ever see the movie The Exorcist? It was about a 12-year-old girl who was possessed by demons and had to get a Catholic priest over because crazy and weird stuff was happening, supernatural stuff was happening. Well, I wouldn't recommend watching it. If you haven't seen it, don't. If you have seen it, don't watch it again because it's scary and who knows what the effects can be just having that broadcast into your home. However, did you know it was based on a true story and it wasn't a 12-year-old girl? It was actually a 13-year-old boy named Roland Doe who lived around St. Louis. Yeah. Roland was close to an aunt who was a spiritist who happened to introduce him to the Ouija board. And once his aunt died, it was reported that Roland, who's born of German-American Protestant parents, Roland tried to contact his aunt in the afterlife by way of the Ouija board. One instant. And it was after that one instant of using the Ouija board to try to communicate with his aunt that, as they say, all hell broke loose for Roland, his house, and his entire life. The parents tried to mitigate this problem themselves. They recognized it kind of for what it was. And then they finally realized they needed to bring in the Lutheran pastor, who, once he got a little taste of this demonic experience, realized this was way over his head and beyond his capabilities, so they brought in a Catholic priest. And it was the Catholic priest who, through a series of exorcisms, was able to clear Roland of this diabolic influence. One instance of the Ouija board, and the next thing you know, Catholic priest is over there conducting exorcisms over time. It's no joke. More recently, 28 different girls in Colombia, the country, were rushed to the hospital for different symptoms. Fainting, anxiety, and a bunch of other symptoms. The parents all rushed 28 different girls to the hospital. All related because all 28 of them were messing with a Ouija board yesterday at school. It's no joke. Messing with the diabolic. You know, when you mess around with the occult and you dabble and you use these tools or watch certain broadcast media such as Twilight series, vampires, werewolves, Harry Potter, Hunger Games, twisted diabolical stuff, or the Grammys, or the halftime show during the Super Bowl, or Olympic ceremonies, or the opening of the tunnel in Switzerland. It's no joke. They're doing it for a reason. This isn't just theatrics or drama or tactics for propaganda. This is real. Leviticus 19:31 says, "Do not turn to mediums or seek out spiritists, for you will be defiled by them." Deuteronomy 18:12 through 14 says, actually Deuteronomy 10 through 14 says, Let there be found among you no one that consulteth soothsayers, observeth dreams and omens, neither let there be any wizard, nor charmer, nor anyone that consulteth pythonic spirits, or fortune tellers, or that seeketh the truth from the dead, for the Lord abhorreth all things. For these abominations he will destroy them at thy coming. Teresa Caputo, no relation, often tells people, "I talk to the dead." No, you don't. You talk to demons who are privy to the knowledge of the dead people that you think you're talking to. Now, you might be saying, well, that's all Old Testament stuff, and Jesus came and gave... No. Jesus said the same thing. So what? You think Jesus didn't talk about this stuff? 23% of the New Testament involves Jesus exorcising demons in one way or another. So think about it. Now, I don't have anything specific to tell you from the New Testament, but what we can do is we can look to St. Thomas Aquinas. And St. Thomas told about the angels. St. Thomas Aquinas writes and describes how all of the angels were created instantaneously by God in a hierarchy of 9 different choirs, from the very top, from which Lucifer comes, to the very bottom, the low-level kind of elementary angels, such as maybe guardian angels, and everybody in between. And to give you some perspective, The archangels, like Michael and Raphael and Gabriel, are kind of at the lower end. That's how powerful the angels can be and are. When the archangels are at the bottom of the hierarchy, how much more powerful are the top angels? In an instant, God created all of the angels. And in that same simultaneous instant, God revealed to them what their tasks or missions would be. And that was basically to love God and to do charity. He also revealed to the angels at that instant the future of him, his word, becoming incarnated into flesh, being man, or the Son of Man, the Son of God, Jesus, to be crucified for the salvation of mankind, his creation, his children. And furthermore, that the vessel in which the Word would become incarnate, Mary, the Blessed Virgin, who was born of immaculate conception and who was conceived by the Holy Spirit to give birth to Jesus, along with the most chaste spouse, Joseph, her husband, the terror of demons, gave birth to God incarnate, Word in the flesh, by a woman, and that woman, the Blessed Virgin Mary, would be at the highest state, holy state, above all angels and saints. And when a certain number of the angels, once this was revealed to them, one, that their mission would be charity and to love God for the sake of God, and also that they would fall under and be subordinate to a human woman, the Blessed Virgin Mary, as well as to the second person of the Trinity, Jesus, who was part man, part God, fully man, fully God, backed out in that very instant of creation, in the very instant of having knowledge and given knowledge of this, decided to reject God. 1/3 of them, in fact, the highest ranking of them being Lucifer, the light bearer, the morning star. It's said that Lucifer, in his conscious decision, knowing the consequences, caused the sin of the rest of the 1/3 to follow his suit, reject God, knowing the consequences, and being tossed from heaven and cursed for eternity. And their mission now, even though they've admitted in exorcisms to the priest who are conducting those exorcisms that they dread the loss of the grace of God, that they never attained the beatific vision, that is the immediate knowledge of God, but rather just maintain the intermediate knowledge of God, which is what we know because we're not worthy of even seeing God's face. Knowing this, they self-loathe because they, even though they are demons, were once angels and were then therefore created in the image of God. So everything they see in which God created is a reflection of God and the reflection of God in them since they were made in God's image. And they loathe themselves. And so misery loves company. They're out to make your life miserable, and they're omnipresent just like God. They're not bound by the space-time continuum. You know, they don't have to be anywhere in particular at a particular time. They're everywhere all the time, and they're always looking for an opportunity, a crack in the door, a crack in the floor, a weakness, a vulnerability, or an invitation. So when you mess around with these diabolics, or when you mess around with mortal sin, when you drink alcohol to beyond a limit that you can operate a vehicle, look, they call it, for 2,000 years or more, they've referred to alcoholic beverages as spirits. Why? Well, because when you drink them, you're kind of released from this third density experience and kind of now floating in the ether where you're unprotected. You've created that unprotected experience because of what you've consumed. And now you're floating unprotected in the ether and vulnerable to attack. And so, you know, people call liquor, the truth serum. He showed his true colors last night. He was drinking and he really said what was on his mind. No, that's not how it works. How it works is person gets drunk and they start talking smack. It might not be them at all. It is them, but it's not being conducted by them. It's the demons have found a crack of vulnerability to manifest and kind of take over, albeit temporarily in that instance, and start bringing out, some nasty words or experiences. Fortunately, that goes away, but not, the remnants or the repercussions of what happened last night once you're filled in on what you did or what you said. The demons are always looking for an opportunity. It's very legalistic, natural law. And if you read St. Thomas Aquinas, you begin to understand the philosophy, of natural laws. They have to abide by the rules. They can't break rules. And exorcists will often say that when you speak to demons and they begin to communicate and identify the demons will say, we have every right to be here. They invited us. We are authorized to be here. They created the opening. They invited us in. How? By playing with a Ouija board. In essence, we're talking about a violation of the first commandment. Thou will not, worship any other God than me. Well, I wasn't worshiping a God. I was just, no. When you're playing with a Ouija board, you're tapping into esoteric, supernatural, metaphysical resources other than God. You're seeking knowledge that you're not worthy to have. That's forbidden in the Bible. So, before you start the new series on Netflix, before you start messing around, do a little bit of research on your own. Check out the articles that I list, the scriptures that are listed here, and take this very seriously. Till next time. Hey, what are you going to do?